last time I was in Philly, I did all the shit you're supposed to do. I went to the Independence Hall where American democracy was born, and the place I missed that I wanted to go to was
Patty's Pub.
No, that's in Los Angeles. That's not really in Philly.
What?
Yeah, dude, that's downtown LA.
This place is so full of shit.
I know, right? They've got the Philadelphia Art Museum, which is where they got the Rocky statue. They got a lot of shit to see in Philly, but I missed this spot, and it's of course the Temple University Kornberg School of Dentistry Museum.
Nice.
That's probably a terrifying place.
Wait, School of Dentistry?
Yeah, so
Museum?
Temple University has a School of Dentistry, and this is the museum that's attached to the School of Dentistry.
So it probably has all the historical dentist drills and shit, where they're just like, okay, we're going to hold down your face with a vice and pull your tooth out with a fucking crowbar.
They have a VR thing where you can be in Marathon Man. Is it safe?
Yeah. So the place I did go is the Mutter Museum, which is like a museum of human oddities. So
nice.
Unfortunately, it's a place they don't allow you to take pictures. It's like the like the Winchester Mystery House. They're watching you, and if you take pictures of the guy with the 2 dicks or whatever, then they'll get mad at you. But
what is that? What is the protocol at museums for pictures?
They'll tell you when you check in. They'll be like, pictures are fine, just no flash. But usually it's
okay.
At any good museum, they're going to say no.
Me and Carly went to the.
That's why you don't get to do it at the 2-dick museum. But you can do it.
It's a medical privacy issue at the 2-dick museum. That's why you can't do it
because they have his name.
Yeah, because even though this person's been dead for 100 years, it's like, well, technically he's a patient. So we
went to the Milwaukee Art Museum. And I was a picture taking fool.
Oh yeah. Most places don't care, but then like Winchester Mystery House, that's because it's a private thing and they don't want all their pictures all over because then you won't pay to see the thing.
Yeah, it's like seeing Brendan Schaub in concert.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes, it is the Gringo Poppy of museums.
I went to the Los Angeles Museum of Modern Art.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Motherfucking, there's Instagram girls in there sticking their ass out in the African American history section. And they weren't black.
My God.
They have no excuse.
Yeah, it's a pretty shameless city we live in.
Well, so inside this museum, you'll find, amongst other implements that we mentioned, like, forceps to pull teeth out, that kind of thing.
Sure, blood.
Yeah.
Just buckets of blood.
Well, so you'll find a necklace made out of human teeth and a bucket full of teeth. And these items once belonged to our inductee today, the school's most notorious alumni, a man once described by the American Dental Association as, quote, a menace to the dignity of the profession of dentistry.
Jesus Christ. Is this where Danhausen got his gimmick from?
Potentially, yeah. Or Britt Baker, DMD, perhaps. That man was Edgar Randolph Rudolph Parker, which just starting off, just naming somebody.
Rudolph.
The Randolph Rudolph Parker.
So many serial killer names in one name.
Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah. So he was born to a wealthy family, grew up in a mansion on the Atlantic coast of New Brunswick up in Canada. He was born in 1872. So yeah, a real rich kid. And his father owned a shipbuilding business. And this was in the 1870s. So like wooden ships are like going away. So it's one of those things where like they're rich, but their time is ticking because no one's buying wooden ships.
Sure.
Right? So formerly prosperous
do you break
family.
them down? Do you sell them for parts? What do you do with all these ships?
Right. It's like he should have sold the business 10 years before this, but whatever.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
He didn't know that metal ships were going to take over.
Yeah, I guess. So when Parker was a young man, and we're talking like early teenage years, and I love like a couple of the articles put it this way, he took to the sea, which means he ran away and got on
as
a
a
ship.
young man as ought to do.
He literally jumped on his ship, was like, fuck you, Dad. Like, this is the most
DiCaprio style.
Straight up, yeah. This is the most like rich kid on an expedition, like knowing full well there's 50 safety nets behind him, whatever he's doing. But he ran away to sea, became
this is more of a Chappaquiddick situation.
So he became a cook on a ship, and his father eventually located him and literally dragged him home and spanked his ass, he said. So
how old was
never
he?
above that.
17.
You're not too old for that.
Yeah. His dad spanked
It's just weird because his dad wasn't wearing pants either. No one was wearing pants.
So his dad was worried because at that point he'd become a feral sailor rat, and he signed him up to be a pastor, and he proceeded to get himself expelled from 2 Baptist seminaries. So that didn't work out. He got thrown out of pastor school twice.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to sin.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, also just imagine like a kid who's been on a boat since he was a child has gone around and turned into a maniac essentially, and they're like, now do church. He's been living amongst sailors in the 1880s, like Moby Dick shit.
Church will fix it.
Yeah, that'll work. So he gets kicked out of the seminary and goes on to sell pots and pans, and he's working with a merchant in St. Martin's that told him, quote, stick your foot in the door and don't take it out until you have an order. So he's selling pots and pans and literally doing home invasions. Being like, no, I got more. I got to tell you about this. And he did that job for a while, but again, the sea was calling. And so got on another boat.
Pa, I'm not meant to sell pots and pans.
Yeah.
Meant to be out on the waters.
All right, lad, I need to be on the waves. So, but he immediately gets dengue fever, and the boat just drops him off in the Bahamas.
Damn.
And so he's, he's being nursed back to health, and his rich-ass family eventually sends a boat for him, and he goes back to Canada, and he tells his dad that he was like, oh, they did such a good job taking care of me. Papa, I want to be a doctor. And so the dad's like, sure. And instead of,
anything but scallywag.
Right. And my favorite part is that they didn't have like a school guidance counselor. What they had was a phrenologist, which is where they...
Wait, isn't there...
That's the thing where they feel bumps on your skull to determine your level of promise or criminality.
I'll say, wasn't there a deep association with racism and slavery?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it turns out it's junk science entirely.
It's complete junk science. It's like the shape of your skull will determine whatever your future is. And
that was okay.
And they were just so happened that everybody's skull who wasn't white had a bad outcome in life according to phrenology.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. If you were white, if you had a white skull, they were like, my God, it's perfect. But anybody else was like, oh yeah, you're meant to be subservient, it turns out. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how everybody, it's crazy.
If the evil sun burns you alive, then
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they take him, and the phrenologist feels his head, and they go, a dentist. So that's his school of medicine he decides to go to, and he ends up enrolling in the New York College of Dentistry. And while studying, so again, he's studying. He's not a dentist yet. He's just taken a few classes. He starts a side hustle where he combines the pots and pans racket with his new passion, which is dentistry, and becomes a door-to-door dentist.
Clanging pots and pans around. Let me get in your mouth.
No, well, he's lost the pots and pans, and now he has a scalpel and a pair of pliers. Ugh. He becomes a door-to-door dentist, where he knocks on the door. He goes, "Hey, is your mouth fucked up? I got just the thing." And then
probably back then that was convenient.
I was gonna say
they didn't have DoorDash.
Well, just nobody was doing that at that point, because
someone was like, well, I have a tooth that aches and ails me, sure. Then,
that's literally it. And so they would let him in, and then he would pull the tooth out. And then they said that if he hadn't gotten to that part, like if your mouth was fucked up and a part he hasn't studied yet, he would say, oh, actually, I'm going to come back later, and then would just skip forward in the textbook to the part where, and then come back the next day and be like, I know now how to do it.
No Novocaine, nothing.
Not yet. So yeah, he's just going all over.
I hate hearing stories like this. It makes my mouth fucking hurt.
It makes me so happy, despite the so many goddamn problems we live in, to live in this time period.
Oh yeah. So he's going around New York City ripping people's teeth out, and after a year, even though he was still a student with no credentials, he opened up a dental office at 17th and Broadway. So this is like a Doogie Howser situation, except he's not qualified in any way to be doing this.
And how old is he at this point?
He's like 18, 19.
Okay.
So he's got gumption.
Yeah. And of course,
manifesting, as they say.
Yeah, well, he's manifesting, and of course, the college finds out about it, and he gets kicked out of that college too.
Tough break, kid.
Haters.
Yeah.
They don't want to see him succeed.
Yep.
Yeah, haters.
That takes him to Philadelphia. He goes to the Philadelphia School of Dentistry, which later became the Temple School of Dentistry, where he technically failed, but after begging a professor, they passed him. And I was like, that happened to me one time.
This isn't like creative writing. This is motherfucking medical shit.
Yeah, this is dentistry. Yeah, this is a medical, a DMD, if
Let
you will.
me be a surgeon on people's mouths.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I can't say no to that face.
I did the same thing with dumbass math for English majors. So, you know, I get it. But also, it's the stakes are nothing.
I'm sure have I ever begged to pass a class? No.
No?
No, I don't know, probably.
I was just like, come on, man. It's just give me the D.
I was an ABC student, but
Yeah, I
just
was
so
too,
they
but
were
that
happy.
one subject, my God,
Yeah.
fuck me. So now he's got a degree and he goes back to Canada to be a dentist, but there's a problem with dentistry in a place like this, a small town. Everybody's already got their guy and their kids go
Sure.
to that person, so it's hard to expand your business out. And also, most people don't like going to the dentist, you know, because it
boy, has
fucking
that
hurts.
changed. Yeah.
It hurts. It still hurts. Even with modern medicine, it's still not a pleasant experience most
Every
of the
time I go, there's a line around the block.
Yeah.
People can't wait.
So, simply put, people were frightened because going to the dentist sucks. So, Parker, working in conjunction with a local pharmacist, George Mallory, developed what would soon become his much talked about, top secret, patented method of making dental work pain-free. It was called cocaine.
Oh,
Yeah.
cocaine.
Yeah, so he called it hydrocaine, which was literally just cocaine and water.
So he was giving people nummies.
He is kind of the guy that invents local anesthetic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So local anesthetic
I thought that was the point of inventing cocaine in the first place in Germany.
Yeah, so that would be for, you know, if you're getting surgery or whatever. He was the first guy who was like, oh, you just like inject it in people's gums, basically. So he's the guy who brings it into dentistry for the most part. And everybody is like, oh, okay, this is a little better.
Oh God, I had a deep cleaning like a 6 or 7 months ago. Don't reveal too much about my nasty ass. And the thought of the Novocaine pumping into my gum makes me want to fucking backflip out of your window.
So he's kind of a pioneer in that way. And in 1898, he opened up an office in Brooklyn. And his landlord at his apartment was a man named William Beebe, who used to work for P.T. Barnum in the circus for over 40 years.
There's a sucker born every minute as they rub cocaine on their gums.
Straight up, yeah. So it was Beebe's idea to cover Parker's new dental office with a sign that was 10 feet high and 110 feet long that
Wow.
said, Painless Parker, preeminent, par excellence, positively painless, perfection of practice, and philanthropically predisposed to popular prices. So this literally like wrapped around the goddamn
I love
building.
It's popping. I like the alliteration. Now, Sam, you've rubbed cocaine on your gums before, right?
Yeah.
No, I have.
I have not. Does that give you the...
It does numb your. It numbs
They
your.
call
mouth.
it doing a nummy.
Doing a nummy. Yeah,
This
that's
is the nummy guy.
I don't know if I could. I mean, I guess injecting it. I don't know if I could get a tooth pulled from it.
I want to meet the first guy to use it recreationally. Because
just
we
like
know the
snorted.
first guy to do it medically, you know?
Yeah, but the first guy who like saw a line of it and was like,
Yeah, we're just like, what if you did too much?
would you feel awesome or would you die?
So this is his office. We'll put it up right here for the people watching on Patreon. But this is at a time when like mass advertising is not really a thing. Like, and he even said he just wanted a little sign, and it was this circus guy that was like, "Fuck that, make it insane."
Man.
So it just covered this building in signs.
Cocaine was used for so much back in this era.
That's the thing. All of this is just coke ideas, but they actually did it.
Yeah.
'Cause this-
The cocaine was good enough to finish your ideas back then.
right. It was pure.
Now it's used for brand marketing.
Yeah. He hired Beebe as a promoter who began doing street shows with circus acts in front of his office.
Wow.
And so all these people would show up, and then he would send them upstairs to Parker to get their teeth pulled.
What a nightmare experience.
Until there was no more room for clients in the office, he rented 6 more offices and hired licensed dentists to run them. And although they were paid higher than most dentists, many were ashamed to work for Parker because he was such a showboat. So it
So
was
it gets like Rivers after a couple blue Hawaiians.
yeah,
Very-
exactly.
Very pompous.
Yeah. It's like the Weird Al song Skipper Dan. You know, if you're going to be an actor, you kind of have to be the guy on the riverboat cruise at Disneyland for a little while, and it's sad, and got to work. Everybody's got to work for Parker. So he soon decided that he should turn dentistry into a spectator sport.
Wow.
So originally he's sending everybody up to the office and he's pulling it in the office and he's like, well, we got all this stuff happening on the street. You know, this guy's got people juggling and stuff like that and trying to bring in people. Let's pull their teeth in front of everybody. So he invited
miserable.
So he invited people from the audience and began pulling teeth on the street. And yeah, so, and at that point, about 2 years after he first met William Beebe, Painless Parker became a franchise, and he owns 17 dental offices, pulling in gross revenues of over $37 million a year in today's money.
Oh, I was gonna say, and like in yesteryear's money, that's
it's like it's $1 million a year. And then I ran it through the thing. I was like, fuck me, dude, $37 million a year. Pulling teeth on the street and just creating a freak show out of people's horrible medical issues.
God.
Solid little scam there.
So the Painless thing, he was calling himself Painless Parker, and that branding got him slapped with a lawsuit accusing him of false advertising, alleging that the dental work was distinctively not painless at all.
Of course.
And to get around this, he then legally changed his name to Painless Parker.
Oh, wow.
So
his first name was Painless?
How did that stop the lawsuit, though? That seems like a post-lawsuit move.
Yeah, well, I guess his thing was he could continue putting that on his outside and being like, well, I don't know, that's my name. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the operation is painless. So the
Didn't a wrestler do that?
Ryback,
yeah,
Warrior, yeah, that is. I mean, they're carny folk too.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah. This is strictly reserved for carnival people. So the American Dental Association, they fucking hate this guy, and they sue him every chance they get to try to shut him down. And he eventually set up the Institute of Dental Economics to train his dentists to not only fix teeth, but also to fight the many legal suits that would be coming towards his practices. Wow. And William Beebe died in 1904, and Painless Parker's New York dental empire came crashing down shortly thereafter. Less than a decade after it began, he eventually had a nervous breakdown and was sent to an insane asylum. And after his release, he sold off the business and moved with his family to the West Coast to retire. And
so he did kind of invent local anesthetic.
Yeah. And that didn't last long, though. He eventually opened up an office in Los Angeles in 1905 that is still there today, by the way. It's 7th and Main.
Wow.
Downtown. There's still the dentist office that he built. And now I'm like dying to go in because he had, 9 patient rooms, and there's apparently like stained glass in there and just all this shit.
When you go in there, there's like a guy hanging by hooks.
Yeah.
Over the.
What is it now?
It's a dentist office.
Still?
Yeah, 7th and Main. Yeah. And the guy who.
And a lot of people selling coke around there too.
Oh yeah. Well, and the guy who's running it says that some of his patients are like the grandchildren or great grandchildren of this guy's patients, because it's like, oh, this is the family dentist place. So you live in LA, this is your whole life. It's like, yeah,
this is the family dentist place. He's a quack who hurts people on purpose.
You're gonna go to him too. If you don't, then you're disowned from the family. You're gonna let this monster mangle your mouth.
So it was in Los Angeles where he decided to take his dentistry show on the road. He drove a horse-drawn wagon and later a motor car from town to town, and he painted the words "Painless Parker, the Great Dentist" on the sides and bolted a dental chair to the back bed. Nice. And so he hired a brass band to travel with him.
So he went full on circus mode.
Straight up. He literally buys a circus in just a moment.
It seems like that'd be hard to see without like a video or something. You know what I mean?
Again, we talk about this shit all the time. It's like 1900, 1905.
Right.
There's nothing to do. So a guy just being like, here's the craziest shit you've ever seen. It's like, okay, that just disgusts me on a fundamental human level, but I can't wait to see it.
Well, I was going to spend all day collecting sticks.
Yeah.
So I guess I could skip that.
I was going to kick dirt.
How much is it, a nickel? Well, you have my business, sir.
So, he hired a brass band to travel with him, and the band would start playing to draw a crowd, and Parker would begin giving his 35-minute long speech about the importance of dental hygiene, which is also not really a thing at this time. He's the first person to be like, hey, you should brush your teeth every day. And
he can't be the first. I don't give this guy that much credit.
From what I was reading, because he was the first person to start giving, they didn't have toothpaste at the time, but it was powder that you're supposed to mix with water. That became a standard thing with his dentistry practice.
So this guy's kind of
It's weird because it's
So why do they still call him a menace? He's
a
pioneered all this shit.
Yeah, he's like a complete charlatan, but also like low-key did a bunch of like pretty important things medically.
But he didn't know he was doing it at the time.
Kind of, yeah. So
Happy accidents.
So he would announce that the cost of the extraction was only 50 cents, but he would offer a $5 refund if you experienced pain.
Oh.
And
So then people were just wanting to do it.
yeah, at that point, people were just like, okay. And he would get them very drunk and give them a bunch of cocaine.
Nice.
And then this is my
That's how you
favorite
make
part.
movie deals today.
Yeah. So he'd bring up patients one by one, feed them whiskey and cocaine, and began ripping their teeth out. The band would have to play louder and louder to drown out the screaming and moaning of Parker's victims as he extracted teeth with one hand.
And then what do you want? Just shove them out the back door and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're too fucked up.
Yeah.
to
You'll
notice
be fine
pain.
in a couple minutes.
So
So in
can't get through the whole word.
1913, he bought a traveling circus and became the ringmaster.
Sure. Logical conclusion.
He dressed
That's not
like
a good circus act. To me, that's not a good circus act.
No, I don't think it's. Unless you're in the front row, you can't really see it.
Even the freak show would look down on this.
Yeah.
So Parker dressed like a riverboat gambler in a stovepipe hat, a frock coat with fake diamond studs, plaid pants, and a necklace of 357 human teeth that he claimed were all extracted painlessly in one day. The dental circus got bigger and bigger. There were acrobats, trapeze artists, animal menageries, and clowns. Non-patients could ogle the tattooed woman. That was just a sentence in one of the articles I read. It's like, look at her. She's got a tattoo.
Is that the noise of people ogling?
Wow.
Wow.
Parker once ripped a guy's tooth out with his head inside of a living hippo's mouth.
That's awesome.
God.
I wish my dentist would do that.
This became a regular feature of the show.
Like, where's your sense of pageantry, man?
Just imagine being in a dental chair and he's like, all right, let's bring the hippo over. And you're like, oh, what? And you're all fucked up.
I'm such a coward that, like, I'm like, okay, you're going to tell me when you're going to do the thing, right? You're going to give me a countdown, like 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But, like, if he just put his head in a hippopotamus's mouth, I'd be too distracted.
It's like, yay, look at it. Ah! So the lawsuits against him never stopped, and he had his dental license revoked in several states. New York State actually passed a law requiring all dentists to practice under their correct name. Painless blamed a conspiracy by the American Dental Association and successfully sued New York and won.
Wow.
So we're not having any of that dead name shit here in New York. Fuck you. I'm Painless Parker.
But that only work. It doesn't work if you're trans. It only works if you're a sketchy businessman.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In 1948, Bob Hope played a hapless dentist in a Western called Paleface. The character's name was Peter Painless Potter, alongside Jane Russell.
You know, I pulled the wrong tooth. Got the one with the nugget in it.
So you pulled the wrong tooth. I'm going to give you just 15 minutes to get out of town.
Last time they gave me 20 minutes.
Parker, of course, loved the movie and the publicity, and he died in 1952 at the age of 80. Regulators working for the California Dental Association immediately dismantled his empire with lawsuits, leaving his son, Painless Parker Jr., who later changed his name to Edgar.
Sure.
Left him with basically no inheritance, but he was also a dentist, so Painless Parker Jr. Like I said, you can see the necklace and the bucket of teeth at Temple University Kornberg School of Dentistry in Philly. Was he a charlatan? Kinda, but also in the course of his career, he was a true pioneer, introducing dental anesthesia, low-cost treatment, high-volume dentistry, and dental hygiene. So,
I would say the juice is worth the squeeze,
I think so too.
even though he's insane.
I love the idea of a dentistry circus.
If someone's doing that on the side of the road, like, you're going to gawk.
Yeah, hell
I'd
yeah.
gawk today.
I'd go now. Yeah, just a man screaming as a brass band tries to drown him out. Oh, God. Please give me more cocaine.
But now it's laced with fentanyl, so he just dies.
We can go to the Burbank Museum.
Oh, yeah,
And they have old dentist stuff there from back when barbers were dentists.
Yeah. Well,
shit.
and also, I believe...
Did this guy cut hair?
no, he did work in the back of a barber shop, I think, initially. And the guy, David Burbank, was a dentist from New England who founded Burbank. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, sources on that one. Ross Eric Gibson writing for Santa Cruz Sentinel, James Bartlett writing for BBC Magazine and Backyard History. So shout out to Philly, y'all. If somebody, I know we got Philly listeners, go see these teeth. Give me some pictures. I want to see them.
Yeah. I've been meaning to visit Philadelphia for a long time. And,
Yeah.
this might put me over the edge.